so long.
All right.
What episode is this again?
Episode 2.5.
Remember we had said the episode 2 because we had posted a picture and everything like that was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah.
April Fools.
Yeah.
But don't feel bad because the joke was also on us. Oh, we thought we were on us.
I think at the end of episode 1, Kenya, you had said, just to be clear, we don't know.
There it is.
What we're doing.
We don't know what we're
So
doing.
we back.
So episode 2 is an example of
We back. In fact, of things that we didn't know what we were doing. We have a clip. And this is an example of how things kind of just roll out. Go ahead, Tom.
Here we go.
It's the confidence.
Today, you had a snowstorm.
This about that.
Poverty. That sounds like a blessing.
It sounds like a pressure.
It's ghetto. It's so ghetto.
Yeah.
The pits.
Yeah.
From pole to pole. Niggas was talking about, oh yeah, I just had to buy an ice scraper. I said, hey.
What is that like? What is running up your car? What is that? Why are we doing that?
Why were we putting ourselves through this?
You guys, you don't have to do that.
I'm saying snow twice in 10 years.
Shit. When was it? When did that happen?
Once my first year living, I was living in Dallas. Dallas got snow one time.
Dallas got snow like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I was in Dallas.
They a little further up.
Yeah.
Country ass.
Yeah, I don't get snow.
We don't do that.
No, we get a lot of rain.
We don't
We get a lot of rain.
A lot of rain.
Like
Houston is a lot like Africa. You know how they like in Africa hot? That's Houston.
What?
Word. Rainy or just hot. Period. And that's why like I feel so at home here.
Word. Shit.
There was so much wrong about that.
What y'all gotta say about yourself?
First of all, I'd like to say I've taken a trip to Ghana since we recorded this. I would like to retract that it's Africa hot statement.
So it's Ghana's hot turf.
Africa's always gonna win when it comes to when it comes to I'll never be like, nah, this ain't no Houston. But more importantly, we said it did not snow in Houston.
We did. We said very proudly that living through snow was poverty.
We call
Poverty.
it
oppression.
The pitch.
From pole.
We call it the pits from pole to pole.
We were wrong.
Everything about that was wrong, and we're not too big to just admit when we were wrong.
Yeah. We would like to just say
We fucked up. We fucked up. I'm ashamed of myself.
yeah. Because we got hit.
Okay, guys.
You know about karma?
Y'all know what we're talking
we had the
about.
karma.
Very unexpectedly, out of nowhere, we got hit with a winter storm.
Of storms. And honestly, the irony of it was the weather itself. I've been through way worse cold.
Yeah.
Oh, we've experienced worse cold. I've lived in Chicago.
But how?
I know cold.
Word.
Negative wind chill factors?
Negative wind chill factors, all of that. But what ends up happening here is the infrastructure of Texas is not built for extreme cold. And, it was all over the news.
Everybody heard about it.
Yeah. And I just feel the timing was just so ironic. We record our first episode.
It was like a week after our episode.
We talked all that cash and got hit with it. No lights, no water. Oh, you want to go to a hotel?
There's
stuff.
ice on the road.
Yeah, and it ain't coming off.
It's not coming
because we're not built for salt trucks. We don't have those.
You guys, my sister and I were driving in the car today. I said, remember when we were leaving my house today. I said, remember when I had to drive from my house to your house? When there was ice, there were sheets of ice on the street. It feels like a dream because literally like 3 days later, Houston was back to normal.
Word.
Yeah.
But you guys, it was tragic. It was
diabolical.
I have no words.
It was diabolical.
I invited at least 5 families.
Oh,
over to come
Tommy,
stay
bless
with
your
me.
heart.
Yeah, we were the family.
You were the family that actually came and it made sense.
Yeah,
Tommy was inviting. I didn't have, because my family and I, we try to go to a hotel. This is two different households. I mean, my household is just me, because I like it like that. But then we got my sister. She got a couple kids. My mom is there. So we're all like looking for shelter. And Tommy's like, you guys can come over. Tommy, where are we going to sleep in your loft? In your downtown loft?
So I'm here when he is offering this to you. I have a 1-year-old in my lap. My wife is right here. Tommy back there. And as he's extending this invite, my greater nature is like, absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My logical brain is like, this is going to be...
But where?
This is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But luckily, you did find...
I did. We actually just ended up going to New Orleans. It was my first time in New Orleans. It was amazing. It's now like one of my favorite cities. So
you just went back again.
I happened to go back.
Yeah, that time you see how she didn't tell us.
Yeah, I didn't know that she went back.
I just happened to hop on Instagram.
I've never been to New Orleans in my life.
Okay.
Now in the past 2 months, I've been twice.
You went to Bourbon Street?
You know, I didn't even go to Bourbon Street this time.
Okay,
When I say
with
this
the
strictly
people,
for
dog.
but the first time I was on Bourbon Street, absolutely. And it was the storm. It happened to be Mardi Gras. Which I've never been to. Of course, Mardi Gras is world famous. I got to said, oh shit, it's Mardi Gras. And regardless, pandemic be damned.
That didn't give a fuck.
Bourbon Street was lit.
So you experienced Mardi Gras?
I said, I'm in Mardi.
Meanwhile,
I'm in Mardi Gras.
Meanwhile, my family is making the house uncomfortable.
You know how some places just aren't equipped for children.
Not at all. Not at all.
Tommy Crib, one of those places.
Tommy Crib is not meant for family.
Not for family.
It's for bachelor activity.
Or a bachelor and the girl you really like.
Yeah. Because if it's a girl you don't like, it's going to be uncomfortable.
It's going to be uncomfortable if you don't really like her.
You're
like that.
going to be next to her.
Mm-hmm.
I got a loft.
She can go upstairs. She can go upstairs.
To the loft.
But you don't have to go upstairs. You don't have to deal with that.
For sure.
But yeah, so we just want to say we talked all that shit about winter and not having to deal with snow and ice and all that shit, and we did.
We did.
And we didn't do it in Indiana, when it's cold like that, you'll survive.
You're ready for it.
You're ready
Mm-hmm.
for it. You go get you some booze.
You have a scraper in your car. You have things like that.
Yeah.
A scraper in Texas. They have salt trucks.
You're still going to go to work.
Guys.
You're still going to work.
We take for granted just simple salt trucks. Because when there's ice on the road, you guys, it's dangerous.
Yeah. We went to school.
Dangerous.
Yeah. Oh no. I walked through feet of snow.
He get ready to tell his dad. He get ready to tell his son.
I know what's wrong with these kids. Yeah. Let's wrap it up though.
Yeah.
We just wanted to get that. Let it be known.
We were wrong. Okay.
We were wrong.
We were wrong.
We were wrong. We do not apologize.
We don't apologize because we were right in the moment.
Right.
Because it had been 100.
Unapologetically wrong.
It had been 100 years in Texas since they had weather. Literally
This
100
shit probably
years.
not gonna happen
It's
again.
probably not gonna happen again.
It's snowing right now in Indiana.
Mm-hmm. In April, they did have an April snowstorm.
April the 21st, actually, is what it is now. Snow.
Snow.
No.
Snow. It's completely ghetto. But yeah, let's start this off, man. Just saying, welcome back to the pod.
We back though.
We bite.
We bite.
Yeah, man. It's been a minute, but obviously we've been through some things.
We have. Bear with us.
But you know, Tommy is here. Kenya is here. I'm here. How y'all feeling?
I feel good, honestly. I feel real good.
Where's your mental at?
I'm healthy.
Ooh.
Mental health.
Ooh. You drinking your water?
I'm healthy.
Are you minding your business?
Everything's healthy.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
Is your mental
Oh, A1. I'm feeling prosperous, abundant, all those things.
Cheese and rice.
Yeah.
Those are good words.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm good. Since nobody asked.
Sorry.
I think it's important to note that Kenya, in her prosperity, is actually going to be leaving us.
Woo!
Would you like to tell the people? Or I can tell it, and I'm a gloss it up. I want you to give them the real.
Let me tell it, because I haven't really made any announcements. Honestly, I don't plan to. Let's just put it like this, because real G's do what?
Move in silence.
Thank you.
That was not. We did not prepare that.
You know, some real G's on the couch because it could have been anything, but that was the correct answer.
Like Paradigm.
Yep. Lasagna.
It's super silent Paradigm.
Super solid Paradigm.
Never thought about it.
I'm a Paradigm ass nigga.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, big things. I mean, super huge transitions in the process. So next time we record, you might see a little different setup. We're still very committed to this podcast. This is going on regardless. I don't care what happens. But yeah, just moving on to greener pastures. I was just telling Cedric and Tommy, everything I do at this point, I try to do in alignment with my life purpose, my greater purpose on this earth. And so God is calling me to a new location, and I said, yes, Lord, I will go. Yes. And so we're going to do that. And so keep me in your prayers. Big transitions, and wherever I go, y'all invited.
Wherever you be, make it funky. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean.
You already know.
So let's get off into the shits, man. Let's get off into the shits. We smoking on Chauvin Pack.
What's up in the air?
We in the air with the Zaza. The Zaza.
One day after 420?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For anybody under a rock, the murderer of our brother George Floyd, the cop, he has been found guilty on all 3 counts.
Just ghetto.
Big ghetto. Big ghetto.
This is really gonna tell me at all.
He's been found guilty on all 3 counts. Sentencing hasn't happened yet, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
But as far as the first step, guilty.
Yeah.
How y'all feel about that?
You know what? I feel good. I feel good about it. You know why I feel good? And this is the hood nigga in me. Because I don't care if you get sentenced to 5 days. That's going to be 5 days of hell for your ass. Because we all riding for the brother George Floyd.
Yeah, as we should.
We marched for the brother George
We
Floyd.
did together.
And we're here in Houston, so it was huge. I mean, it will always be one of the most epic events that I ever participated in. Like, it was overwhelming the way that we gathered in Houston for George Floyd.
I find that interesting because both of you actually, we were in the NAACP many moons ago.
Oh, man.
So we've marched, we've met, we've conferenced,
Yeah.
we've regionaled, we've stated, we've national.
We've national.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for you to say that this was the biggest,
It was, there's no way to describe. I'm telling you, say you're marching down your block with your group of 150 protesters, and you run into another group of like 150 protesters, and you're like, yes! You're just meeting up. I mean, when I say we were outside for George Floyd in Houston.
For hours.
Hours.
how many hours you would just ballpark it? Dead air. So it was a lot of hours.
It's a lot of
No, it was a lot of hours.
I can like this out.
Tommy, how did you feel about that? How did you feel?
About
The march.
the march. So I went outside because I live downtown. So I went outside every time I heard people outside marching. So I went outside for like several days in a row. Like I was outside, but that day that we're talking about, it was the culmination of everything, and it was so many people.
Culmination.
That was a good word.
Yeah.
Give me some.
Okay.
Yeah. So now through all of those months, it feels like the day he was murdered was a couple days ago. But realistically, this happened a while ago.
It was over a year
It
ago.
was over a year ago. You know what I mean? I want to say it was pre-COVID.
Oh yeah.
I want to say it was pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, when he was murdered, it was because COVID had just started when we went outside. Because we were like, we outside anyway.
Word.
Yeah.
So we waited on this. And I think the most interesting thing was through all of the defense and all of the prosecution, when the jury went to deliberate, when they said, hey, we have a decision, the thing that was most common with me and the people I was talking to was like, damn, that was fast. And it scared me.
Yeah, it was either really good or really bad.
And there was no in between because if you've even watched Law and Order, you don't even have to know or have ever been in court. If the jury went away and came back that fast, it's one or two. You know what I mean? And then also what was going on in Minnesota at that time was, and when I say at that time, this was yesterday.
Yeah, fast. Yeah.
They shut down school. They shut down school. They started boarding shit up. They started putting up barriers in between like government buildings and neighborhoods and shit. And honestly, I'm so trained to not believe in the justice system that as soon as I saw that, I said, damn, he getting off. He's not going to be guilty. Tommy, walk me through when you first saw the outcome. Where were you?
I was actually watching it here.
Okay. Was you in this seat?
Nah,
We at Tommy's crib, by the way. That's where we record.
I went upstairs.
Allegedly.
Right.
I went upstairs and I watched it, and in my head, I'm watching it, and I realized it was the biggest verdict as far as black people in any trial that I could think of since I was a kid when I was
7th grade.
O.J.
Oh,
Simpson.
I just aged myself. Sorry, it was 6th grade. It was 6, not 7.
Kenya said that she was in 6th grade when the O.J. Simpson verdict came out. I just want to put that out there.
Did you?
O.J. Simpson.
It's over for you.
Yeah.
The streets.
I was just telling them what's about to happen in 2 years. We're not going to talk about it here.
I was speaking in general. You want to date it. I didn't want to date it.
It's a fact because you're absolutely right. And I remember being that age and waiting on that verdict. Now, what does my 12-year-old behind got to do with what they say about O.J. Simpson? But we were waiting.
But he just mentioned the kids in the city that the verdict happened
Right.
at, they stopped school.
Yeah, they're in the same position.
Minnesota's a state, bro.
Oh, the whole state.
In the state.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is crazy. I feel like it's important to know. They canceled school for the week for the state of
That's
Minnesota.
crazy.
At least that's what was reported.
Okay.
That's nuts, though. That's nuts, though. That means
Even if they only canceled it in that one city.
whatever
It's still
outcome.
Even if that one city.
Even if it's just that
canceled
city, that's huge.
It's major.
That's huge. So you was right here, and when it came across and it said guilty on all 3 counts, what was your first emotion?
Once I saw the first guilty, I was like, oh yeah, he's gonna be guilty in everything. So I was confident at that point. Oh, guilty.
Were you confident before?
I wasn't. I wasn't confident before.
Could one be confident
Where
before?
where were you?
I was, well, we're talking about this transition thing. I was at a storage unit, public storage. Shout out to y'all. I guess y'all just take my money every month, whatever.
Life storage takes my money.
Yeah. So I was at public storage, and I had it playing just on my phone. So I was watching like maybe CNN Live, also scrolling at the same time. So actually, what I was watching was delayed, and I'm on social media, and I see somebody post guilty on all 3 charges, and I said, "Oh my God!"
Isn't that weird how social media is quicker
Quicker than the news.
than the news?
And it was CNN, guys. It wasn't like a bootleg news. It was CNN, and homegirl on Facebook was like guilty on all 3 charges. I said, well,
One thing that I do in the same, when you mentioned CNN, I watched CNN at first when I first watched the verdict, but then I turned to Fox News. And during the presidential election, I did the same thing. I would go back and forth between CNN and Fox News so I could see both sides of what the argument is, what they're talking about from both sides. Because if you're only seeing things from one side, you only get one perspective. I want to hear in the election and in this situation, what would both sides be saying? So I would recommend anyone to look at both sides.
that's fair.
All right, so now we know, that Chauvin pack is in the air. It's rolled, it's tight. You know what I mean?
Pearl.
It was 420.
was.
And tomorrow is
It
going to
was
be
4/22.
4/22,
Mhm.
as in also. Is this, and I propose this question to y'all because I've really been belaboring on it in my head. Is this justice? Take your time, because it's a very specific question. If what we're doing here is to be conscious about these things, so that we're not just repeating what we're seeing. Is this justice?
Okay. Is it justice? He was charged with second-degree murder and was found guilty.
Mhm.
So in that respect, it's justice. To me, I'm like, oh, he killed that dude in cold blood.
Word.
He killed that dude in cold blood. So I'm like, But for the charge that he received and then the verdict, that's a form of justice.
Second degree murder, I think it was second degree manslaughter, and then the third count was third degree murder.
Anytime you're charged with something and you're guilty of it and then you're found guilty, it's a form of justice.
You feel like that's justice?
I'm going to answer your question, but I know we're going to transition after this, so I want to say something in particular.
Speak with your chest, bro.
And I feel like I wouldn't be giving George Floyd and everything that black men go through on a daily basis if I didn't bring this up. So when this happened and I initially heard about it, I didn't want to watch the video. So when I watched the video, I remember hitting you up and telling you about my reaction when I saw the video. And to me, it was one of the most horrific things I had ever seen in my life, just watching the video of it. And what made it so horrific was, to me, when he was grasping for his last breath, and he called out.
I still haven't watched the video.
He called out for his mother he took him back to any black boy and black man. When you're in a situation, you will ask your mother for help, like just naturally, because unfortunately we grow up in a society where most black boys grow up in a household with just their mom. So that natural connection, him reverting back to that natural connection, and him asking his mom for help and talking to his mom as him losing breath, I was like, that was the most horrific thing I had seen. And what it triggered in me was, I deal with different anxiety issues, and I'm open about it. But what it triggered in me was the anxiety became so much that I had to go to therapy after watching the video.
That's deep.
So I had never been to therapy. I was thinking about for years, maybe I should go to therapy, maybe I shouldn't, whatever. But once I watched that video, I was like, hey, I'm about to go to therapy. So I hit up one of my friends that I'm close with that I had already knew out here had been to therapy. And I was like, you mentioned your therapist was really good. Let me get that information because I need to talk to someone. And it was all triggered because of that video.
Do you feel
crazy.
Do you feel like if you hadn't seen this video, the therapy would still soon come, or was that the catalyst to make that decision?
It was like what they call
the straw. The camel's back.
Yeah, the straw.
Okay. All that, is this justice, was my original question.
So going
you gave pretext. Answer my question, please.
And because
it's tough. It's tough.
In a legal
that's
sense,
why I'm asking it.
In a legal sense, as far as what he was charged with, he was going to trial for, it is justice.
Right. That's where I'm at with
It
it.
is justice, but at the same time, what us as black people, what we have been through, the struggles that we've been through, and the different disparities as far as the judicial system is concerned, I can't consider it really justice. I think it can't be quantified what we've been through, and the injustice that we've experienced. So a one-off, one time that, yes, it's been in our favor, it can't be considered justice.
That's what I was happy to hear you say.
I keep hearing about that too.
One off.
Yeah, because I keep hearing justice is consistency.
Exactly. So my stance, and this is what I was wanting to go toward, is it's controversial, obviously. That's just me. I don't believe that the conscious Black American as a whole will ever receive true justice in America. Here's why. You said it's a one-off. The fact is, regardless of how he gets sentenced or however it happens, it is a one-off. The facts state, in the last 10 years, 15,000 police shootings of civilians have been accounted for. 15,000. In that same 10 years, 7 police officers have been charged and sentenced. 7 out of 15,000. So I do not believe that is justice. Now, to be fair to the families involved, yeah. You know what I mean? I may feel, if I'm in that position as a family member, I may feel like his killer being accused and sentenced is justice. I may feel that way. But that man who lost his life receives no justice. Justice would be him not being murdered at all. You know what I mean? Justice for us as a people would say that any time that these things come up, there are consequences for those actions. Of course, they will waver and how they're doled out will be different because every case is different. But as a whole, I do not believe there's any consistency in it. And I do not believe there's any true repentance for it because they're going to continue to go out and do whatever it is they feel like doing.
Speaking of which, within 24 hours of that guilty verdict, another young lady lost her life to police
Michaela
violence.
was her name. I think that a
child. She wasn't. I won't say young lady.
No.
She was 16 years old.
15.
15 years old.
15. For those who might also not know, within 24 hours, in fact, it was less than 24. The same time that Chauvin gets convicted, a young lady, and this is the facts that we have right now, so things may change. But as far as we know now, she was about to get jumped by some neighborhood girls or maybe some girls that she just knew, and she called the police for help because she was about to get jumped. The police show up on the scene. She shot 4 times and murdered. This happens at the same time as we may have felt like we finally get to celebrate. As far as my view on the internet when it was happening, it felt as though everybody kind of exhaled. It was like, okay, fuck, we've been waiting on this. He's guilty. They're going to sentence him. Everybody kind of was exhaling. We didn't even get the opportunity to really enjoy any of this. Because not only did they kill another black person, they killed a black child. A child. And as far as the details are concerned, it is my opinion that she did not have to be shot 4 times and put down. It was a 15-year-old child. If you, as an officer of the law, cannot stop a 15-year-old without...
Did the officer even try to talk to the girl?
From what I saw, he showed up on the scene and he did yell, "Get down, everybody get down." and it was really that quick, and he pulled. Because he had body cam. Everything that we're getting is off of the body cam. He told everybody to get down. He did yell. He did say something. But this is a one girl on multiple girl fights. And if anything you know about people getting jumped, you can scream whatever you want to. That's not stopping this shit.
Not immediately.
Not immediately. And he yelled. And then very quickly, he upped. Boom, 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 boom.
It's crazy because this is really a matter of, people think of racism like, oh, you don't like me because of the color of my skin. The real issue is people who are racist literally don't see you as a human being or somebody or a human life that's valuable.
We're dealing with, I believe that racism is illogical. So we're dealing with illogical people who have been, in the case of the police, who have been given power.
Yeah.
In no other instance would you give someone who you perceive to be illogical, this person does not have common sense, you would not give them power. You would not do that. But for some reason, law enforcement gives power to people who are inherently illogical based on racism. And they patrol these streets where the same people they don't understand, the same people they hate, the same people that they see as less than them, that is who they're supposed to serve and protect. And I just want us, in our whole goal of consciousness, to discuss and to kind of shed light on the fact that in our plight, we see no true consistent justice. What do we do with this? How do we go on from this? Because as far as I can see, this ain't something that we're going to be done with.
Well, especially not with the Michaela story came literally within 24 hours. It's like, guys,
We don't know what's going to happen with that.
You can't say it's a lack of training because they are properly trained to de-escalate situations.
they are trained. What happens to all this training when it comes to black people?
They abandon the training.
Because in response to all this police on black people violence, we see videos and people like, look at this dude. And you see videos of white men literally assaulting the police. I've seen a white man get out of the car, asking the police what he thinks he's doing.
I saw this week a guy in his car, they pulled him over, and he said that, and he had a gun in the front seat. He said, I will shoot you. And they did not do anything to him. He actually was allowed to drive off.
Okay.
I think we just have to realize, once again, that it's not a training issue. The fact is, we do not receive any sort of justice or equality in judgment. So when these police show up on the scene, you can expect there to be no equality in this situation.
Don't expect it.
Don't expect it.
Don't expect
it. And
which is sadly, it makes us not ever want to call the police. Not only we don't want to call the police, it's like, do you tell your children now? You might be in danger. But whatever you do, do not dial 911. When we were kids growing up,
we've always known.
We've been taught, emergency, dial 911.
Yeah.
She literally called the police because she's in danger.
She was in danger.
And she got into more danger.
Word.
Because she called the police.
Because she called the police.
Ironically, what we're talking about, episode 1, we sort of discussed Megan Thee Stallion. When she went through her situation, she said
that was her reason.
She didn't want to call the police because she thought that when they showed up, that they would kill them.
And when I heard that, I was like, well,
I think resoundingly,
it's a valid.
Everybody was like,
whether or not that was true, because it was the reason that she gave, it was like, if that if that was the reason, then that is a if and then. If that was the reason, then that was valid.
About 2 weeks ago, there was a video that surfaced about a young lady who she either owned a building or a business within a building. Either way, the landlord was a guy. He was a foreigner of some sort. And she felt as though he was coming at her wrong or whatever. But she went. Her husband was at work or doing something. And she just felt like his energy was wrong. Mm-hmm. So she called her husband, like, I know you wanted me to come up here by myself, but something is off about this dude. Mm-hmm. So he came up there. And you see in the video, he's sitting, it's like, he's right here, his wife is here, landlord is here. And in the middle of the conversation, the landlord reaches for the strap to shoot his wife. He gets up and holds him, like, basically to not let him get his gun all the way out. He's fighting him. Like, this man wants to...
Wait, excuse me?
Yeah, this is happening, I want to say last week.
What state is this in?
I don't remember.
But wait. So the man has now arrived to talk to you man to man.
Yeah. Well, with his wife.
The wife is still there, but the man is here like, let me holler at you.
Right, because his wife says something is wrong.
He pulls out the gun to shoot the woman.
Tries to. The husband neutralizes him. So he puts him off in his corner, manning him. Like, you know what I mean? He won't let him get up. The wife, from her own words, says, my husband told me to call the police. She said she immediately paused because she believed that if I call the
police, they're going to think you're...
She does call the police. When they show up, she meets the police at the door and says, yo, before you come in here, I'm the person that called. You're going to go in, you're going to see a black man.
You'll see a black man.
And you'll see the man that he's holding. The black man is my husband. The man he's holding is the man with the gun. Please do not kill my husband. Police come in, they neutralize the situation. But what's important to me is that
this is stressful. This is literally
she had
stressing me out.
to really deal with. My husband is telling me to call the police. As a wife, I want to call the police, but her greater judgment kicks in and says, well.
This just reminded me of another situation, that Army officer that they pulled over and then they just did dirty.
Did him filth.
And people are watching the video and they're like, well, he didn't comply. First of all, the police are saying, put your hands outside of the window. Then they're saying, turn the car off and get out or something. They're giving him some like opposing instructions. And people are like, well, the police said, turn off the car and get out. Why didn't he just do it? Well, obviously the man is thinking, not even obviously, I'm thinking as a black man or just as a black person, because even if I were in this situation, I would think twice. You want me to have my hands outside the car and also turn off this car and get out at the same time?
At the same time.
I'm going to stop. It's not going to be something I'm going to do automatically. I'm going to stop and think, well, if I put my hands back in the car and reach in any direction, you might just off me right here and now.
And G, he's literally in Army fatigue.
He has his fatigues on.
This is a man of service. This is a serviceman.
A serviceman.
So all of this shit that these people will say, like, well, maybe if you weren't a thug, it wouldn't happen. Or maybe if you were dressed appropriately, it wouldn't happen.
You know the whites love their servicemen. Let's be honest.
That's what they say.
They say they love
Until
the
that
serviceman.
serviceman is a black man.
They be blasting that proud to be an American with the Army fatigues.
Let's switch this a little bit. Because the situation you explained with the married couple and the situation, it made me think one thing. Us as black men and black women, we need to protect each other. There's this whole trend like black men need to protect black women, which is true, and I don't want to argue with that. But we need to protect each other, and that's a perfect example of black men and black women protecting each other.
Absolutely.
Her going outside and her protecting her
husband.
For
sure.
I want to bring light to this. That whole black men need to protect black women thing, all factual. But some of this is internet propaganda. Because they'll make it sound like black men just do not.
Like they don't.
We just do not. But they'll also make it sound like black men do not marry black women. And it's like, oh man, they keep marrying these white women and whatever. But the math behind the statistics behind this will prove that in real life, black men and women marry each other on the whole about 85%.
It's actually very regular.
It's like very
Yeah.
regular. And in our personal lives, any black woman that's been in my vicinity, I believe, would feel protected in that situation. Now, I do know that there are situations that are outliers, but I just want to shed light on the numbers say the opposite of what the internet is saying. And I feel like in this time when it is very clear that we're being hunted and killed by the opposition, that we need to realize that in real world practice, when you log off of Facebook, when you get off of Instagram, when you get off of Twitter, in real world practice, you will see that on the whole, we tend to stick with one another. Because we don't have another fucking choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to keep
Be
going
like
too long into this. So
when Kiki was talking about, so R.I.P. George
So we
Floyd.
talking about relationships, men, women.
R.I.P. to anybody that's died to this police violence and just racism in
Breonna
general.
Taylor, George Floyd, Michaela, who just
died like yesterday.
You know what I mean? Trayvon Martin.
And we're recording this and we're trying to prepare this video. Unfortunately, anything can happen.
By the time we posted it,
By the time we posted it, means another person. That's the reality of America.
Oh my God, we could keep going
It
back.
don't matter how far you can go back, and literally what we've just discussed is we go to yesterday. And it's always gonna, unfortunately, something that we can.
Before that, even like a week ago, what about the police? Again, we don't want to be like
the taser.
the gun instead.
Yeah.
My bad. I thought that was my taser.
Ridiculous. Let's hop.
Let's go.
Let's
go.
hop.
Yeah. So you talking about Kiki, my girl Kiki.
Now, what did Kiki say? Because I didn't watch the video.
Tommy brought this up, and I said, you know what, Tommy? I actually reposted that on my story the same day. Yeah. What Kiki say?
According to Kiki.
That's my girl right there.
But are you going to marry? Are we ready to take it somewhere out of here? Because I'm not trying to be locked into nothing unless you want to lock me in for life. Because we can just be friends and kick it till you ready to go.
Okay.
So after this.
Okay.
So what the title of this is are you single until you're married?
Absolutely, you are. Oh, was that a rhetorical question?
Well, that was her question, and what she was commenting on is she's single until she's married. She's not locked down until she's actually married.
We're one.
So you go, since y'all are
we
one,
will go ahead.
you speak on behalf of
Absolutely, because Kiki vocalized what I subscribe to, what I've always subscribed to, which is what is boyfriend and girlfriend? What is boyfriend and girlfriend? Because let me tell you something. Something confirmed how I feel the other day. I was watching another YouTube channel, and it was these two guys, but they were talking about a chick who got on. She made a video about relationships. She was talking about how she was in a relationship. Her and her boyfriend went through like a rocky patch. They weren't getting along. She just wasn't feeling at the time. Some other dude, I don't know if she worked with him or knew him from somewhere else. He had been trying to holler at her for a long time, and she was like, okay, so I finally let him take me out on a date. Mind you, she's in a relationship. She's just going through some stuff with her boyfriend.
Oh.
She's cheating.
She's cheating.
That's what I heard. She's cheating. Okay.
She's trying to make it sound pretty.
She was making it sound cute.
She's single. She's not married. Okay.
She finally let him take her out, and then eventually she just was regularly letting this man take her out.
Regularly
cheating. Mind you, she's like, well, my boy, like we just went. I didn't like him at the time, and I said, well, this is my whole point. You're in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. You have a nigga who's making you happy. He's taking you to all the spots, all the picnics, buying all the flowers. But according to what you're subscribing to, he's your side nigga. Because you've already committed to this nigga over here, who at this point you don't even like. But that's your boyfriend because y'all said, because he said, will you be my girlfriend? And you said, okay. So now you put yourself in a position where in order to get your satisfaction, your happiness, you're cheating because you have a boyfriend. But ma'am, who's really your boyfriend? The one who's your friend, who makes you laugh and takes you out and makes you happy? Or this nigga that you're obligated to because you had that conversation?
Nah, that agreement.
You had a conversation that led to an agreement.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. And as far as the agreement is concerned, terms can be changed. If someone isn't treating you right and they're not living up to the expectations of the agreement, then you have full right to leave. But if you decide to stay within that agreement and then you venture outside of the agreement, then that's cheating.
Tommy, that brings up a good point because my real issue after I thought about it and after we discussed it via text, I said, okay, my real issue isn't with the institution of boyfriend and girlfriend. My issue is with the institution. My issue is with people having an issue with letting other people go.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
People have such a hard time after you've had that conversation and made that agreement. At any point after that, if it's not working out, it's okay to just let it go. Why? That differentiates a boyfriend and a husband. But so many people are entering these boyfriend and girlfriend relationships with the intention to be a wife. I'm talking about like what wives do.
Yeah.
With the intention to do those things or expecting that person to be a husband to you. That's what you're really expecting, and you're calling it boyfriend, girlfriend. That's why when you go through a rough patch of 6 months with a boyfriend, you're still there. Whereas if that's just your boyfriend and you were there because you like him, listen, you got about 1 good month and I don't think we get along. We should probably let it burn. But people don't want to do that. And that's my issue.
I will say that goes both ways. Male and female. Female.
Hey, I didn't call any genders. I said people don't like to let people go.
People don't like. So with that, I think that people should. Yes, you can give them a grace period. Any relationship, like
that's what makes it a relationship.
Yeah.
If the first time they mess up and you're like, I'm out, is that really a relationship?
I think we're getting away from the initial video.
You're single until you're married.
You're single until you're married.
Oh well, my whole point was that's why I don't subscribe. I'm single. I'm single.
Well, hold on. When you're saying you don't subscribe, you're saying you don't subscribe to what part of it?
To what society has called boyfriend and girlfriend.
That you're single until you're married.
Absolutely.
You're single. I know you got something in the chamber. I want to keep some structure here.
Listen, let me. I'm sorry. Let me revise it a little bit. I'm single till I'm engaged. Because when I'm engaged, I'm preparing to be married.
Okay.
So I'm single until I'm engaged. I'll give you that.
Single until a ring is involved. Okay. Am I single until I'm married? Or a ring is involved? No. I don't think it is logical for a man to say that they're single until there's a ring involved.
Now, why?
Why? Yeah, that's the important part. Why?
Okay. First off, we've talked about this. A man needs to choose who he wants to be with. He needs to step up and be a man and make her
I like what
know
you're saying. Okay.
that, hey, I want to be with you.
Stop right there. Does that require a conversation with you telling her I'm only going to be with you? Or when you decide that that's who you're going to be with, is that just who you're going to be with as a man?
We're going to stay right on subject as far as single until married.
Fine.
Or until a ring is involved.
No. You don't get to this. You don't get to
Because that's my whole point. Because Tommy, when we talked about it, you were like, okay, a person does need to date somebody exclusively. Yeah. Absolutely. But do I have to have had that conversation with you? No. Because when it's real, I feel like
you have to have that conversation.
The realest thing is when I have the freedom to do whatever I want, and I look around like I literally don't want to date anybody. I have the freedom to do that, and I literally don't want to date anybody else.
The reason why I stopped you is because her question was a yes or no.
It was
You
a yes
can
or no
still
question.
give all your reasoning,
Mhm.
but yes or no.
Rephrase that question so I can make sure I'm answering it
Because
correctly.
you forgot.
Because, like, let me. What was my question? My question is, you feel like a man has to decide, and he has to practice basically being with that one woman and deciding that's who he wants to be with.
Yes.
That's fine. Does that require you having to have had 2 months, 3 months, 6 months prior the conversation where you said, "Will you be my girlfriend? Yes or no?"
No, but you need to let her know. Yes, we are exclusive. We are together. Like, you need to let her know what is going on.
Need is a strong word, because technically, if you're very confident in yourself, you could be like, you know what? You're the only woman I'm interested in. I really like you. I'm not dating anybody else. I'm not trying to lock you down, but I'm just saying I'm not dating anybody. What about you? And if you're fair, you could give her the chance to be like, you know what, nigga? I'm honestly not dating nobody else either. Let's get married. Next thing you know,
I think we're
they
saying the
married
same
with kids,
things.
and Facebook just found out.
I think we're saying the same thing.
I'm just saying, people
No.
put so much.
You guys are saying this.
People put so much value in that. Will you be my boyfriend, girlfriend, yes or no? And my issue with that has always been like, there are 6-year-olds asking somebody to be their boyfriend. Me at my big age of 30-something, am I doing the same thing as a 6-year-old? If so, why?
You
Why?
don't have to call it boyfriend, girlfriend. You can call it whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
But
Call it
establish it.
blue dog shit.
Okay.
Call it blue dog shit. Whatever you want to call it, you need to communicate what is going on. Communication is always vital in any relationship, no matter which level you're going to. And you can't just assume that they know that they're exclusive with you.
There's no assumption.
No, you need to communicate that
Like I
we're
said,
on this level.
Like I said, you could be like, if you're, listen, I'm talking about some next level. I'm a human on my pilgrim journey, and so are you, and I recognize that. I just want you to know I'm free to do whatever I want, but I'm free to do whoever I want.
Yeah.
But you're the only person I want to do.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Are you a wife once you get married? Or are you a wife before that and then you become a wife in title after you're married?
You're definitely a wife before that.
Interesting. Interesting. What would be your answer? Are you a husband before you get married?
In action, I would say you're a spouse before.
You're in action. I want to go back and I want to say, as I was originally talking about a couple of minutes ago, the importance of a man stepping up and saying what it, communicating, not just saying what it is, communicating with a woman what it's going to be and what is going on, what we're feeling. I'll tell anyone who I'm dealing with, dating, whatever, a man, if he wants to be exclusive with you and he wants to be with you, he needs to communicate it. And in a nature, if he's not communicating it, he can't dictate what you're doing, who you're going out on dates with other than him.
But the thing unfair about that for me is, okay, then you can dictate if you do communicate with me, but why? What is your intention?
Yes, I can dictate.
Why are you dictating? Where is this
It's
going?
not really a dictatorship. It's an agreement that we're exclusive.
Okay, for what? Why are we exclusive?
Perfect. I like that exchange. Here's why we're exclusive. Because in real practice, you cannot, I learned from a pastor once, you don't go to sleep a donkey and wake up as a horse.
Right.
So in anything that we want this end game to be, there has to be some semblance in it before.
Very good. Very good. Now, let's talk about how 99% of boyfriend-girlfriend relationships don't end in marriage.
This is another reason. I think in current time, don't cut my wisdom, God. In current time, a lot of these relationships are ending before going anywhere else because of that ideology. I'm not your wife. I don't have to do A, B, and C. But when you make me your wife, then I'll do it. Hey, I'm not your husband. I'm not going to do A, B, and C. But if I choose to propose and you say yes, then I'll do A, B, and C. Here's the issue here. Let's go away from relationships. Let's go real fucking life. If you go for an engineering job, do you go to this job and say, I mean, I could do that, but I'm not going to do it for you unless you hire me. I'm not going to exhibit any of these behaviors that you want in an engineer.
Now, is everybody that asks you to be their boyfriend or their girlfriend, are they asking you that because their intention is to marry you?
I would say that the mature person, if they ask for this agreement...
You're already saying a lot, because so many people aren't mature.
Oh, and that's why immature relationships don't last.
Can I say this? I think we're doing a total disservice to our base, the people who are watching us right now. You're married. What is your point of view?
Shit. I hesitate to articulate some of these things because I realize that I am married, but I haven't been married for very long. You know what I mean?
You're a
So,
newlywed.
yeah, I'm trying to. I'm not technically a newlywed because.
Nigga, you've been married for 2 years.
Yeah.
You're a newlywed.
Yeah.
But compared to the 80 years that you'll be married.
Right.
God willing.
God willing. Inshallah.
Mm.
My opinion is very simple. Because I'm interested, because I've expressed interest, if you reciprocate that to me, we have to make a decision. And if that decision is that we're going to be exclusively together, then in that exclusivity, then we need to portray certain characteristics that we expect out of our mate. So I would expect you to be, I'm not even going to be general. If I'm expecting her to be loyal and to be faithful and to neglect all others, then it is my responsibility to ensure her that I am being loyal, faithful, and neglecting all others. You know what I mean? So any attempt of that, I'm not going to do this for you right now because we're not married.
Yeah, I won't say I subscribe to that either. And that's why I said that you are technically, you're walking in the path of a spouse before you already a spouse. That's why I said that.
This is why that video in particular disturbs me.
Which one?
The one, the Kiki.
Kiki.
It disturbs me because that base, that base thinking. That is a base thinking.
Kiki's talking in general, though.
It's a very selfish base generality. She holds a certain amount of power in her following. You gotta be careful of this shit you're saying. If you're communicating to your followership that, hey, if you're not married, you ain't gotta do blah, 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 then be aware that you're setting some of these people up for future failure. Future failure. Because if you're not exhibiting the behaviors of a husband or the behaviors of a wife before you become a husband.
I think what Kiki didn't mention is just that naturally, if you feel like doing that, you're going to do that. And it doesn't require a will you be my girlfriend conversation.
Oh, well, shit, I can't speak to what she didn't say.
I'm going to speak to what Kiki didn't say because I feel Kiki.
But you don't feel Kiki because she can't say it. That's the thing.
I feel Kiki's implications.
Her implications are dangerous.
Kiki just saying,
it's a bunch of
just
women
because
around.
I like you,
It's a bunch of women
just
around
because I
here.
like you doesn't mean that I'm going to commit the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years to you exclusively.
She gonna leave y'all slipping.
She gonna leave a lot of people.
Nah. Kiki don't say y'all.
No.
Kiki ain't gonna leave Kiki ain't gonna leave Kenya nowhere. Kenya gonna be where she wanna be.
But Kenya's also grown.
I'm grown.
And a lot of those followers are not yet.
They're not. You're right. I'm not thinking about them.
We gotta be
little
careful
kids.
about this shit. And I don't feel like her statement was careful. I feel like she decided to make a video that she knew was gonna pop. And honestly, this is some shit that you've been seeing. You can log on Instagram right now, scroll your thumb 4 times, and see some shit talking about this.
Bottom line is Kiki had a point though. Kiki had a point because in all seriousness, a lot of, I'm not gonna say women, a lot of people waste precious years on these boyfriend-girlfriend relations. Going back to
On the same note, when you're talking about like people are scared to let go of the relationship.
because that's what I was saying. I don't know. We had to switch just now. I don't know if it cut off. But my biggest issue with the institution of boyfriend and girlfriend is people just not being ready to let it go, not realizing that that's the whole point of you being a boyfriend and girlfriend and not a husband and wife.
Yeah.
Is that when it's not working out, you're not compatible, things aren't going well, you walk away from it.
And also, if you are compatible and you do agree, then yes, start to exhibit those behaviors.
There you go. I'm totally fine with that.
And going on that, when it's important to know when to walk away. And if you truly believe that that's the one that you're destined to be with, and like you could see yourself marrying, and this is not the right time, be prepared to walk away for a second, and then still work on yourself to come back and make it work.
Tommy, you're saying a mouthful right there.
But here's the thing. God bless his soul, R.I.P. X. He said, you love something, let it go. If it come back, then it's yours.
Those things that we call cliche, that we just hear over and over, are sometimes the most profound concepts.
Let's not get lost in it. Let's move on to, that's a perfect time to just go ahead and say, profound. Rest in peace to DMX.
We all here,
You know what I mean?
repping
X.
You know what it is?
for our mans.
X, baby!
Hey!
You know what it is?
Barking. Tragic.
You know what it is?
40 ounce?
Oh, of Mickey's. I don't know if you guys remember the skit on one of his first albums. Who is it? It's Mickey.
It's Mickey.
It's Mickey. Nah. Who is it? It's me. It's Mickey.
Alright.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
You guys,
Yeah.
like, nah. We came up on DMX.
I'm not even gonna hold you. DMX, after Big's passing and before the Blueprint, my favorite rapper. No holds barred. The X was I was X's dog. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was gonna say he was my dog. No. I was X's dog. I fucking love DMX.
Yeah.
Dark Man X. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Earl. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I love this nigga, and I was gonna start off by asking y'all, but I'm gonna tell you what happened
Not
to me.
the burp from the 40
Oh yeah,
ounce.
40. You know
Very
what I mean?
ethnic.
Yonkers, nigga.
Y.O.
My nigga, I was knocked the fuck out, and the woman and the girl wake up mad early.
These titles kill me.
The one that girl.
Anybody that follows that on Twitter knows he refers to his wife and his daughter as the woman and the girl.
Because that was the only
It's
one.
very British.
I only have one girl and only have one
It's
woman.
fair.
So,
It's fair.
and I don't like to, put too much shit out there, but you know what I mean? We have a podcast, we have a job to do.
We here.
So I was sleep. The woman and the girl, they get up mad earlier before me on the weekends. During the weekdays, we all gotta go to work and shit and daycare, so we up relatively around the same time. I was in a drunken sleep because Friday night I was getting it in, and I'm asleep. The woman and the girl have been up for like a good solid hour. And I can hear them, but I'm making the conscious decision to still lay in the bed.
Sleeping. Low-key, that'd be the worst sleep.
It's not a good sleep, but it's my silent protest. So I eventually just wake up or whatever, because the girl is like right here.
She's the one that gives the least F's out of anybody in the house.
She's in my face. Tap, tap, daddy, 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 daddy. And I wake up and I'm like, yo, okay. You know what I mean? Give her a kiss, reach over, grab my phone. And I go immediately to my text messages. And the first text message I see is from Dub. Dub is my big brother, my older brother. And the text just says, nah, man, not X. And so I'm laying down and I read it and I lean up and I sit up and I'm like, this is not what he's saying.
Nah, I can't be what you're saying.
So I text him and I say, yo, please tell me you're not saying DMX is dead. Like, please don't say that. And I see the little 3 dots coming. And as the 3 dots are coming, something just happens to me. I immediately got emotional. And you know how like right before you start crying, you kind of feel that
right here.
Right here.
Right in that throat.
Right there.
I start feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
And bing, it comes in. Yeah, man. X is gone. And my wife is in the shower or in the bathroom, whatever, and all I hear is her voice say, "Oh, hey, I meant to tell you, your favorite rapper is like almost dead." But she's like in the bathroom saying it. So she doesn't know that I've just read these texts.
The confirmation.
And I'm all choked up. As soon as she says it, I broke, dog. I broke. But because I'm just built how I am, only thing I said was, "Oh, man." And I get up out of the bed, and I walk to my daughter's room. I close the door behind me, and I ugly cried.
Not the ugly cry.
Ugly cry, dog. But I didn't want them to see it, you know what I'm saying? So I'm in my daughter's room, just ugly crying, dog. And it's fucking with me because I'm not the type of nigga to be crying over people I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
But that's making me cry more because I'm realizing in that quick moment that, like, I really love this.
When you
nigga.
realize you care.
I care like a motherfucker. And then here comes the woman, and she's like, "What's going on, babe?" Opens the door, and I'm like, "Nah,
Don't see me right now.
And then she's like, "Oh shit, yeah." And I'm like, I can't help it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make myself.
I wanted to stop, but they won't.
I don't know what to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so eventually she's like, she wants to give me a hug, and I don't want this hug.
Cause it's weird.
Cause it's weird.
It's not my parent or like something.
Know this man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that hug, I needed it because when she hugged me, she was like, "Baby, he's not dead." You know what I mean?
He's good. Honestly, when he died, of course I was very sad, but then I thought, I'm so happy for DMX.
Oh no! What I'm saying is, at the moment that I found out, he was not yet dead.
Oh, he wasn't actually
Remember
dead.
that whole week?
It was a week.
Oh, well, the difference between you and I was, when I heard it, I was preparing myself. Something told me, the brother, DMX, he's dying. From when I heard he was in the hospital, I said he's dying.
When she told me, like, "Babe, he's not actually dead," I'm like, "Oh, wait." I'm like, "Oh, what the fuck is going on?" And then she says, "He overdosed, but he's on life support." And at that moment, I was like, okay. Something in my body is just like, we don't have long.
Yeah.
We don't have long.
You know, yeah.
But a certain amount of, like, this glimmer of fucking hope.
You gotta have a little hope.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson overdosed and shit, and I mean, Lamar Odom, my fault. Lamar Odom, he overdosed. He was on life support and he came back, and I was kind of holding on to that shit or whatever.
Can I say something?
Absolutely. That's right.
So,
I'm just taking sweet as 40.
maybe like
It's 40 ounces of Mickey's.
since we in this ballpark, I'm gonna make it make sense in a second. So, when my pops passed, like a year or so later, I wrote this poem like when Superman dies.
Y'all know that Tommy's a poet, low key.
So with the poem, I talk about like when like your hero like passes. So fast forward, similar situation. I'm a Chicago fan to the death of me. But I also grew up as a Laker fan because my dad's favorite team was the Lakers. So me and my younger brother, our basketball team is the Lakers as well. And the day when Kobe passed, I texted him like about Kobe. Like I heard Kobe just passed. Like I heard like, and he called me like, we're like, nah, like damn, for real. And it takes me to that same emotion where like someone that you looked up to, kind of idolized and grew to love, they're no longer here. And what I realized was the more life experience you go through, the older you get, you're gonna naturally experience people that you looked up to leave. That's a natural progression of life.
Correct me if I'm tripping, but like, do y'all feel like in this 35 plus era, like of our lives, that either A, we're just losing people so frequently and so often, or B, is this just what happens?
Listen, it's a mixture of both. Because first, I was riding with my sister today. I said, everybody did. Everybody did. Like the people who we literally idolized, going back to the 80s. I'm talking about when it came to Michael Joseph Jackson.
Yeah.
Whitney Elizabeth Houston.
Yeah.
These were people that were larger than life that we would have never imagined. They're gone. They're gone. They've been gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to make this briefly about X. Just real quick.
For sure.
Just real quick. And I don't want to beat it too much. And I don't want to get super sad again because I will.
No, it's sad.
I literally just watched a video yesterday that Redman recorded for DMX. Did y'all see this?
No, I didn't see the Redman.
I'll play it for it after this is over. But this shit fucked me up. But I think the reason that X's death for our generation.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about what he meant.
For our generation was so heavy and still is that we actually, the fans of X, it was more about loving and fucking with X as a human being more than it was the music.
Definitely.
You know, obviously we all got our favorite X songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We all, you know, obviously feel some of his albums as joints. You know, that's a given. He was talented beyond measure.
Yeah,
but I think the thing that he has above all other rap artists in my life is that I actually felt a kinship to this man's personality.
And you know what it was? It was the honesty.
It was
so even if you didn't have a character like DMX in your life, even if he wasn't, that's just like my dad, that's like my uncle, like my brother, my cousin, you can appreciate his honesty about his struggles, about just his humanness.
Yeah.
Anybody who's just honest about the things they're going through, they use that struggle and that pain to inspire other people.
And he never hid himself. He never. And you could go from a Rap City to Basement interview with Tigger, and he's DMX. And then you can spin off and go to the most recent Drink Champs that just came out in December with Noriega. And he's 30, well, my bad. He's like 20 years older. He's still X. You go somewhere in the middle of that shit when he is pretending to be an FBI agent and shit. And as soon as you hear this report, you be like, damn, that's X. You know what I mean? But you, on some level, you have to feel him. It's not even like a if you will. It's like if you ever saw any of these things, you will feel that shit. And I feel that more for him than I would any other rapper. I personally believe at this age of my life, Jay-Z is the best rapper of all time.
Yes.
I don't feel emotionally attached to Hope.
You were talking about like the kinship of it.
Yeah.
I feel like there's three people I connect to the most in hip hop. So you have Tupac, who was originally my favorite. His duality as far as like one moment he's talking uplifting people and then the next moment he's on some wild shit. Like,
but is it Gucci Wally Wally? Or is it One Mike?
But Pac
is it Black Girl Lost?
Or
does Shorty owe him for ice?
Pac is like all of us. Like you being the natural leader you are, you also when you was younger you was wild. So he's the duality that we experience from the hood. Like there are these good qualities, and then there's all there are bad qualities.
People, so who's the second person?
So Pac is who like I could feel a connection with, who I naturally am. Like how I operate. Jay-Z is who I strive to be. The boss, the billionaire, the businessman. He is that person. But I'd say DMX is also on a level that we didn't talk about was DMX his relationship with God and how he brought it to the forefront at all times. It's something I strive to
because the
really
thing that every
be.
true DMX fans know that above all, DMX was a believer.
Above all.
Above all, DMX was a believer.
He talked about God in any time he could ever. In an interview, every time he could talk, he talked about God.
Let's make it specific. Every single album DMX put out, he had at least one prayer and one song directly about God on every last one of them. And we're talking about a nigga who has songs like Damien. You know what I mean? Where he's battling with the demon in his life. You know what I mean? We have songs, what these bitches want from me. You know what I mean? On them same albums though, he's giving you prayer.
But in you guys, in reality, that is the average believer.
That's why I feel that.
Isn't that why we all feel that?
I don't know another rapper that did that. I don't know another rapper that's doing that.
I happen to see some social media. I don't really follow her like that. Some social media influencer talked about how, like, oh, we all want to mourn DMX and talk about he was so great, but according to our beliefs, he's technically going to hell.
Suck my dick, is what I would say to that person. Suck my dick.
Now, how do we know DMX is going to hell and that you're
Suck
not?
my dick, sucker.
Yeah, neighborhood.
Neighborhood.
You know what I mean? Fuck out of
I
here.
didn't like that at all. I said,
don't like none of
no,
that
don't
shit.
speak for me and what I know as a believer.
And those types of people, I'm gonna touch on it and go because we
Touch
don't
and
want to focus
go.
on the negative. But those types of people are the worst types of people. How dare you speak ill on the dead after for clicks?
It's definitely for clicks and
Like,
likes.
who the fuck are you?
And at the end of the day, if it's between you and it's between X, the type of believer I am is close to the type of believer X was.
I'm rocking with
I'm more like X.
Bitch, do you have prayers on record? Bitch, do you have songs about the God on record?
Yes,
Bitch, did you write Slippin? You did not write Slippin. I think it's important to note his whole addiction came from trusting.
And that's how I'm like, how can you say that this man is going to hell? He's explained to us emotionally on the verge of tears.
For those who don't know, DMX as a teenager had an older homeboy who was a producer / rapper who he looked up to, and DMX did not smoke, he did not drink, and he was hanging out with this older man that he trusted. And that man passed him some weed. And DMX, not being a weed smoker, but wanting to
Just fit in.
just make this older homeboy happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He smoked it, and it just happened to be laced with cocaine. That began his addiction. But we're also talking about a man whose mother left him, who he found his solace in his grandmother and dogs, literally
Dogs, canines.
And then he found God and never let go of him. Through all the drugs, through the depression, through the marriage, through the failed
Listen,
marriage.
I don't care what anybody says. When DMX died, I said, oh, DMX is about to be, his spirit is about to soar.
With Redman, that was his whole message. He was just like, look, I love you, X. Apparently they had this relationship where they always called each other cousin. Hey, every time we say, hey, cuz, you know what I mean? That's a black thing. You know, you have cousins that aren't your cousins, but they're your cousins.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Apparently that was their relationship. But his message was just like, look, I miss you, X, and I love you. Keep praying. He said, you are above now, and you're where you're supposed to be. He said, but keep praying. He said, but now pray for us. Because we need prayer. We need prayer. And he said, we don't have a lot in common on the rat tip, you know what I mean? But we're cousins. But what we have in common is we're both children of God. And DMX is proof that you can be a lover of God. You can be a lover of women. You can be addicted to whatever you're addicted to. And never have to sacrifice the content of your character. He was locked up multiple times. You know what I mean? He got jumped when he had his jaw wire shut when he performed, and that's how he got signed. We're talking about a man who's been to the ends and back several times. But the only place he has not been is heaven. And now it is my piece to believe that he is in a better place.
I'm convinced.
I cannot
I'm convinced.
form from the way my belief system is built. If you believe, if you profess it, and if you withhold it, then that's where you end up. And I'm not God. You know what I mean?
None of us really know.
I can't. None of us.
But just like if somebody asked, according to that chick on social media, DMX is in hell. According to me,
suck my dick.
Well, there you go.
I was gonna say
That's not what
I just want to be on the record, and I don't.
There you go.
We're not bleeping that out. Suck my dick, because don't put people in hell. I know drug dealers. From the neighborhood. That got shot down. You would never say, "Oh, well, shit, Tony them in hell." You wouldn't say that.
I don't even know what. That's the thing. What compels you?
Be worried because she knows that no one can do anything to her.
where do you think you're going?
Where are you going?
I want to say rest.
Why are you judging?
I want to say rest in peace to X. We all love X, but I want to touch on that, and I'm going to bring it to this. This is the reason why hip hop is now no longer hip hop. I saw a statement that said, hip hop, rap minus the lies equals hip hop. I think in this day and age, hip hop is no longer the counterculture. Hip hop is
the mainstream.
The mainstream.
This
is pop music. So in that essence, the original hip hop that we grew up on, that we were taught to know, those 5 elements of hip hop, this is no longer held in the higher status that it used to be.
Can you tell the audience the 5 elements?
5 elements of hip hop. We got b-boying, graffiti, breakdancing, MCing, and DJing.
There you go.
You see how I did that?
That was good. That was good.
That's hip hop. That's hip hop. Hip hop started off on Cedric Avenue.
Cedric.
In the Bronx. In the Bronx. South Bronx to be specific.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But these are things
in a park.
Yeah, in a park. Hey, hip hop
started out the park.
These are the things that we are taught to know.
Yeah.
Do you think that the average 20-year-old fan of Lil Whoozy Whatsies knows the
absolutely not.
No
Absolutely not.
Idea. But that's why hip hop artists like I don't even want to make up a name. Specifically, Polo G. Do you know who Polo G is?
Absolutely not. Who's?
I have no fucking idea who Polo G is. But you know what Polo G just did at the beginning of this week?
What?
#1 on the charts.
Okay.
Not the hip hop charts.
Congratulations.
The Billboard charts.
He's a rapper?
He's I believe so. You know who never had a #1 album on the Billboard?
Who's that?
DMX.
Not #1 album. He had
#1
5 of them. #1
singles. #1 single.
Yeah, he never had #1 single.
X never had a #1 single. Polo G, Whoozy Whatsy.
I've never heard
Can I
of
expand on that? Let's not just discredit X. He had 5 #1 albums.
Oh yeah.
And
in a row.
He was probably his first year in music was probably the hottest first year of any artist in any genre.
It's not probably.
Not just rap.
It's not probably.
Any genre.
It's
his
not
first
probably.
year.
It is a fact. My man went platinum on 2 albums in the same year. And when they asked him, how did that happen? He said, well, I recorded my first album and it went platinum. And they told me, can I do it again? And if I did it in the same year, I'm going to get $1 million.
There you go. That's what's going to motivate you.
And that nigga said, fuck it.
Fuck it.
I'm going to do it again. He did it again. And went platinum in the same. It's only happened one other time. Tupac Amaru Shakur.
Mm-hmm.
Only other rapper that went platinum twice in the same calendar year. And we're not talking about an industry year. We're talking about a calendar year.
Was Tupac alive when he did this?
I fucking know. I don't remember. But I know it happened.
So, with him being the first 5 albums going #1 in the country, his top single that he's had ever been on when he was alive was Money, Power, Respect, which is not even a DMX single.
No.
And it peaked at number 17 in the country.
I believe that was Lil Kim's.
Lots.
Oh, you better come with this.
But that was a lot.
Lots.
Lil Kim did the chorus.
Yep. And now that he passed, the Rough Rider anthem is number 16.
Oh, that's
So
great.
he hasn't even. DMX, who was the hottest rapper and artist in the game, didn't even get top 10. That's how the game has changed.
And you know what? That's popular culture's loss.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
That's their loss.
Mm-hmm.
Because anyone in the culture, even if you're not a fan of DMX, you know at least that he was the fucking man. And if you don't even believe he was a man, you know this was a guy who was real and honest to a fault.
Mm-hmm.
That was his allure. And that's why he came out and just killed it, because at the end of the day, people just love honesty. People love realness.
And ain't nobody been as honest and real as X, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so... Earl Simmons, Darkman X, we appreciate and love everything that he was able to do for us on this earth, and wherever the Creator decides his soul will find ultimate rest, we trust.
Yes.
We're gonna miss him.
X baby.
X baby, and I'm gonna keep bumping them. I'm every
For
last
sure.
one of them.
For sure.
Flesh is my flesh, dark and hell is high. You know what I mean? And then there was X, the Grand Champ, all of them shits, dog. The Great Depression, I'm rocking with all of them. You know what I mean? I love that nigga, man. So, and also, as we got into the whole death of hip hop and the lack of real and how hip hop has become popular culture, I think that you all would also agree hip hop can't ever die. You know what I mean?
It's not possible for it
It's
to
not
die.
possible.
It evolves. It
It's-
changes.
Yeah, if it will feel, as we talked about, it will feel like hip hop has been dead, because of how it evolved.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as the people still respect it, as long as these elements are still somewhere, even though they're smaller now,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean. But if I go to New York and just happen to see the subway come by and I see graffiti on that motherfucker, it's there.
That's hip hop.
If I go walking down Texas and I see a big ass graffiti mural of Houston,
I saw on the way down here. I saw that one that says just be. What did it say? Be someone or be somebody? Be someone.
be someone.
Be someone.
Some say when the soul leaves the body, then that's the death of.
Well, some
I
say the X
It's the soul
makes
of.
the sex spectacular.
I say. Hold on.
Wait.
I thought you was about to say X.
Right.
The soul of hip hop. You told me.
me.
Some say that X is the soul of hip hop.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even with X not being here, hip hop still lives, because as long as we got his music, as long as we got what he contributed to hip hop,
His message.
it's
his
still
essence.
gonna live.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's move on. Kenya, you got something for the lady.
For the ladies, in
In
women's business, right?
Let's get in women's business.
In women's business, I just wanted to encourage. Actually, it's something that inspired this. I saw a post. Somebody the other day. Actually, I don't even remember what the post was. So I'm not even gonna go there. It was something along the lines of. Actually, I don't even know what this was a post about. But the point is, sometimes we feel guilty for doing things, or we don't feel like it's okay to do things that we feel like we should have grown out of. Right? So say, oh yeah, I used to love doing that when I was a kid. Yeah, I used to do that all the time, but I'm just so busy now. You know what I'm saying? So in women's business today, it's just me saying, whatever the things are that make you happy, because especially as women, we have so many responsibilities, especially we take on a husband, we have kids, and like we live for them. And we kind of put the things that we love to the wayside and convince ourselves that that's not important, or that, yeah, that's something I used to do when I was young or when I was a kid. And I think it's really important for us, especially as women, to do the things that nurture that inner child within us. Because at the end of the day, that's who you were before you had anything to prove, or before you convinced yourself that you have to do other things for other people, and that's what matters. So if when you were younger, you used to play tennis every weekend and that just made you feel so good, but you got older and you're thinking, oh, that's something. Listen, sis, go down to Walmart, go down to Target, buy you a racket, get out there on the court. And I just picked up, I mentioned tennis because it's something that I literally did when I said, you know what, I need to get back to the things that I love. First of all, shout out to me because I was a bomb tennis player.
Shout out to you.
Shout out to me.
Shout out.
I rep for the black chicks. I wasn't just out there being black playing tennis. I was being black playing tennis and winning. I was good.
No, that's a fact.
I was good.
That's a fact.
So but then I stopped playing for so long, and eventually I said, but I love tennis.
Mm-hmm.
I love tennis.
Get right back.
And what did I have to do? I literally found a wall near me. Down here in Houston, after I came here, I said, you know what? I'm going to go hit on this wall regularly because that's something that I love to do. And when I did it, I got there, I was hitting, I was like, wow, I feel like me again. So my encouragement for women is just, of course, our roles in the household are very important. You're a bomb wife. You're a bomb mother. You're all that. But don't forget about yourself and the things that nurture you, your inner child, and your essence, the things that make you feel good. It's not unimportant. It's not trivial. It's very important. So get back to that. Tune into the things that make you happy. Nurture that inner child, which is generally just your essence, who you are before you feel like who you're supposed to be in this world. So my encouragement in women's business is just get back to those things that make you happy, that make you feel like yourself. You don't have to grow out of things. You love what you love. Don't feel bad about it. Don't feel guilty about it. And take the time to do those things.
That's a word. That's a word. If you, I purposely chose not to speak at all because the first episode in Women's Business, we had a lot of back and forth, and I realized, you know what? I'm gonna shut the fuck up.
No, it don't be like that. What can we do without each other?
It all depends.
Yeah.
It all depends on one another. But I dig that and
Do what you love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In women's business, and I'm staying the fuck out of it. So we're about to wrap up and get out of here. Tommy, is there anything you want to say before we go?
Long live Dark Man X. Absolutely.
Kenya, anything you want to say?
Long live DMX.
Hey. I'm going to leave y'all with long live Earl Simmons. You know what I mean? And I really feel that to my heart and my
Nah, he
core.
meant a lot. He meant a lot.
Yeah. Either let me fly or give me death. You know what I mean? And I hope and I pray that the Creator is proud of him, and I hope and pray that he was able to hear well done. And I hope that his children find peace and are taken care of in his absence. I hope that the family of George Floyd find peace and are taken care of in his absence. I hope that hip-hop lives forever. And I hope that y'all keep watching us.
Keep
And if
watching,
you've
yeah.
been here this whole time, you are our kind of conscious. X, baby.
X,
Peace
baby. We out.
What you